Welcome to Living Dvnly, the Divine Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Janae, founder and editor-in-chief of Divine Oasis. Bi-weekly, I use this platform to dissect what it means to live a well-lived life by exploring ways that we can create space for ourselves through intentionality, truth, love, and authenticity. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Living Dvnly Podcast. I'm your host, Janae, and as always, it is such a joy and a pleasure for me to record content for you guys and for you to even join me on this journey in listening wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you so much and just thankful for your continuous support. I truly love this platform and this space because it is a space where I get to share stories and insights that inspire and support all of us collectively on our journey and our path to change, transformation, and personal growth. So, you're either going to love me or hate me for today's episode. And I'm going to tell you why, but let's jump right in. You ever sit and spend time with someone and you're like, damn, they're always unhappy. I mean, they're always mad about something. They're always complaining about something. Something's always wrong. Something is just a trigger always for them. And even still, in this deep unhappiness, you realize that they're never really proactive about changing their reality and focusing on being a happier version of themselves. Like, they're never really focused on changing their reality. And let me tell you why I said some of you will love me or hate me. Because some of you are listening right now and realize that I've just described you. But don't feel bad. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper throughout this episode and just explain to you why you shouldn't feel bad or you shouldn't feel sad if you're currently in the space where happiness feels difficult or unobtainable for you. As adults, it is totally not uncommon to drift away from the essence of happiness. And I say this because some of you may not even realize that you're overconsumed with adulting. You're overconsumed just with life in general. So much that you've forgotten how to be happy. And I'm not just talking about happy because something good happened to you in the moment, or someone picked up the phone and called you somebody that you miss. I'm talking about happy 24/7. That joy that you once experienced consistently may feel like a distant memory, like leaving you wondering if it's ever possible to really truly feel and experience real happiness again. Many of you listening may be mourning loss, the loss of a family member, a relationship, a job, friends, or whatever. And as you're going through the motions, the realization that happiness isn't a constant in your life can feel incredibly heavy. While the realization of your happiness can be heavy, it also marks a significant step towards rediscovering what happiness truly means to you, even in loss. Today, I want us all to go on this beautiful introspective journey. This journey is going to require patience, understanding, and it's going to require, or it's going to include, shall I say, a gentle push toward living more thoughtfully and intentionally, especially when it comes to joy. So, let's start this journey exploring all of what we know about happiness and how we can invite it more of it back into our lives. Take a moment. Think back to your childhood, a time when the world seemed so carefree and full of joy. I think my favorite moment to reminisce on right now is living down the street from my great-grandfather, who was literally one of my best friends growing up, and two of my cousins lived with my great-grandfather along with one of my favorite aunts, and then we lived literally 2 houses down, and my favorite cousins, all boys, lived upstairs from us. So it's me and my brother downstairs, 4 of my cousins upstairs, 2 of my cousins down the street. We had friends across the street. Like literally we all lived on the same block. And I love reminiscing on those experiences because it brought me so much joy. Like you literally just wake up, and at that time you was barely like brushing your teeth because you knew it was time to go outside and ride bikes all day, play games, get into things that you weren't supposed to be into. But those childhood moments, they evoke so many feelings of joy. And of course, over time, as we grow older, society changes us. As we start to grow into adulthood, our innocence, our enthusiasm, that natural spark for life slowly begins to fade. As the realities of life weigh us down, like everything about that innocence and that spark just starts to fizzle away a little bit. Responsibilities, societal expectations, the weight of life's experiences, they just gradually dim that natural, vibrant spark that once fueled everything about us, everything in our lives. But it's also our responsibility to draw that back in. And sometimes, even when we don't realize it, there's this deep yearning for the nostalgic feelings and the spark of that innocent youth. We yearn that, and we want that brought back into our lives. You feel it when you unlock a core childhood memory from scrolling your timeline. You feel it when a family member or someone close to you reminds you of a pivotal moment in the earlier years of your life. Personally, I feel very connected to my inner child and that youthful spark when I am creating or when I am having a mindless, playful moment with my son. Before I got pregnant, I was very committed to my personal growth and my healing. I knew that as I got older, motherhood could happen at any moment. And I didn't want the traumatic moments of my past to be the reason why I struggled to seek and find happiness in the present, or even worse, I spent so much time struggling to be emotionally available for my child or children. I want us all to understand that happiness is an inside job. It requires an inward journey to find what truly resonates with your soul in its current state. It is so easy to get caught up in societal benchmarks of happiness and success. Temporary joy is very easy to find, yet long-term happiness often lies beyond the temporary. It requires work, which consists of exploring the uncomfortable parts of yourself and discovering or rediscovering the passions, the activities, and the connections that spark genuine joy and delight within you. Maybe, this looks like painting. The thrill, for me, the thrill of ice skating. For some of you, it may be doing some sort of sport, or as simple as the peace that's found in silence, whether that be silence in the early morning, silence at night. When it comes to happiness, it is very personal. So it is critical that you create space to step away from the noise, everything that's going on in the world, and tune into your own frequency. Stop relying on outside sources, especially social media, to tell you what happiness is. I want you all to take a moment and think about your life right now as it is. Do you have a commute during the week to get to work, or do you work a job that may or may not stress you out every other day? How often do you do an activity on a consistent daily basis that may feel mundane at this point? Just think about it. Now, what if I were to tell you that within each and every mundane activity in your life or mundane experience, that there are simple joys within them that you've grown to overlook? You overlook the simple joys in each moment because it may not feel good to you to do these mundane things. So your dislikes control the moment when you're in them. You let the moment determine your feelings instead of attempting to feel differently about the moment, if that makes sense. You want to know one of the biggest ways to rob yourself of your happiness and joy? Your life and your everyday activities or experiences lacking authenticity. This is why I am so passionate about authenticity and intentionality, because it links back to so many important elements of our life. And I will always be the person to advocate for and teach the importance of being your authentic self, because so much is rooted in that. And when you're not authentic, you lack so much. Your happiness fades. The things that you're connected to on a soul level, that starts to fade. Like, so much is connected to being authentic, embracing our individuality. And social media is probably one of the biggest root causes of those struggles with being an individual, those struggles with authenticity. And many people face these struggles because they're living trying to recreate what they see online instead of being authentic. There's this constant struggle, or this constant push and pull to maintain appearances, and this desire to impress or keep up with appearances. And that desire starts to suppress your true essence over time. Without the freedom to express your unique self, happiness becomes elusive. You can't really be 100% happy when you're not being your full self. You may experience pockets of peace here and there, but when you're being inauthentic, you're so focused on the image, what you're portraying, that you can't even focus on what it feels like to be happy. Your happiness becomes this hollow existence filled with the constant fear of rejection, or this constant fear of judgment and blame from the outside world. When you sacrifice your authenticity, you relinquish the opportunity to pursue things that truly make you happy. Instead, you end up settling for a life dictated by the expectations of others. You live for the outside world, not for yourself. And your lack of genuine expression it leaves you feeling disconnected from your true self and those around you, those that love you. And that eventually just leads to this constant state of emptiness and discontent. Life quietly whispers joys every single day. The universe is constantly gifting you with generous offers. But the pursuit of what you've convinced yourself is happiness is what blocks you from seeing the beauty of all the simple offerings around you, all those simple offerings that go unnoticed. These offerings are as simple as being able to sleep in a little bit longer in the morning, enjoying your first sip of tea at the start of the day in complete silence or with the sun shining, the spontaneous laughter shared with a friend, or being able to witness flowers in bloom. Like, those are very simple joys that often go unlooked, and we don't even recognize how much they pour into our everyday existence and our everyday reality. Like, yeah, they seem like insignificant things and insignificant moments, but they hold the power to pour so much joy into your life and to spark all of what you've convinced yourself that your life is missing. A lot of you are very committed to the image. You are very committed to that image of perfection that you've created in your mind, this image that you've created of yourself, or that others have projected onto you. You're so committed to this that you won't even allow yourself to be happy because you're afraid of how you'll look doing anything outside of that self-perceived perfection bubble. Happiness is literally everywhere around us. But you have to tap into what's truly you in order to connect with that. You don't need the big, grand moments to create happiness. A lot of people wait until they find love in a relationship to be happy. Not even understanding that a lot of the times when you're seeking happiness within a relationship or within a certain experience, it's just you desiring to reconnect with the depths of your own self-love. You're waiting on that job offer, that raise, that friendship to mend itself, the parental relationship to repair itself. You're waiting. Do you realize how long you have been waiting for all of these things to be happy when you can simply get out there and just create this happiness yourself? You need nothing, absolutely nothing, to tap into your happiness. All it requires is you. In those everyday simple moments that we have deemed insignificant, there are reminders of happiness that don't demand too much of anything from us to be felt or experienced. I want to encourage you today to find some time to pause and breathe in those simple moments. The moments that anchor you back to the present. The moments that anchor you back to the simplicity of being. We often discover the most authentic forms of ourselves and life in general with within those moments where we just choose to be still, those moments when we choose to pause, the moments that are unplanned and unassuming, I want to challenge you to let the overlooked joys in life to become the threads that connect you back to those experiences on a daily basis that spark joy, that spark excitement, that spark happiness. The moments that remind you that beauty and contentment are never far away, but rather just waiting to be acknowledged by you. I want everyone listening who's either inspired by this message or feels that this message is for them, I want you to release yourself from the shackles of whatever definitions of happiness that have defined so much of your life up until this moment. If you feel that it hasn't been working, release yourself from it. When you cling to unrealistic or past notions of joy that perhaps once fulfilled you, but don't anymore, those things that feel lackluster, you choose to confine yourself within those boundaries that no longer represent who you are. It's like holding a photograph up against a rapidly changing landscape, expecting the scenery to remain static. Nature doesn't work that way, and neither do you. Liberating yourself from these outdated definitions requires a conscious effort to acknowledge your growth and honor the person that you have become in the present moment. I literally just talked about this on TikTok this past Saturday, but literally there are so many people that are disconnected from a life that brings them happiness or experiences that feel authentic to them because they're afraid of starting over. Ask yourself right now, am I afraid of starting over? That's a real question. And it is an unlock to so many things. Sometimes it really is just you being afraid to accept that the people, the places, the spaces, a lot of what you're attached to and that you're clinging to no longer make you happy. And you're ready to be more in alignment with who you have become. This might mean saying goodbye to activities, relationships, goals that no longer align with your current state of being. And that is okay. Embrace this process of letting go. It truly is an essential step in reconnecting with your happiness. It's an invitation for you to explore, redefine, and ultimately discover new avenues of joy that resonate with the person that you are today. Engaging in a continuous cycle of reflection is not a sign of instability, and it's not a sign of being fake, because a lot of y'all love to attach the words you've changed or you're acting brand new or you're being fake to someone who has simply evolved. None of this means that you're fake or you lack instability. But what it does mean is it's a testament to your commitment to nurturing a fulfilling and happy life that keeps up with your pace of evolution. I think I've said this in a previous episode, but it's funny because my husband always says, I don't think there are too many people that dislike you. I think a lot of people find it hard to be around someone as happy as you are and not feel a sense of discomfort or envy because it is a reminder of who they are not presently. He always tells me that. And I wish that we all took the time to have more conversations with others, because anyone who knows me knows that this present me was a fight. It was a struggle. And I am who I am because I've experienced long periods of darkness and unhappiness. I've had moments where I have hated who I was to myself, and I worked really hard at being grounded in the present so that I wouldn't have to ever experience that version of myself again. It's never easy. The work is never easy. It is always a challenge, but you have to start somewhere, even if that somewhere is small. When life would get really, really dark, I'd get in my car, I'd turn on a playlist with songs that I knew would make me happy and just drive. The sunroof would be open, windows down, and I would just admire everything around me, taking in every single moment and reminding myself that this moment of feeling completely free and happy would soon be a permanent part of my reality. It literally starts with you. It starts with you incorporating small acts of joy into your daily routines that can serve as a starting point or a stepping stone or be reminders on your path, on your journey to happiness. Start each morning by acknowledging something that you're grateful for, and allowing this sense of appreciation to set the tone for every day. Carve out moments for activities that lift your spirits, whether that's reading a new book, going to buy a new book, always just going to any bookstore or any library just always sparks joy within me, and it takes me back to childhood. Maybe it's engaging in a new creative endeavor, or simply going outside and getting some fresh air. I saw something online the other day that talked about how so many people are vitamin D deficient. So many people are unhappy literally because they sit scrolling on social media and don't take the time to just go out and get some sun. I know I definitely have moments where I spend so much time working. Especially last week, I was working. I didn't feel well. I was just constantly inside. And the moment I stepped outside, I felt better. And it's no fault to anyone but me. But when you're sick and you're feeling a certain type of way, you just don't have the energy. But sometimes it's just simply being out in the sun, being around other people. Sometimes that is what sparks your happiness. Practicing mindfulness can help you stay anchored in the present. It can teach you the appreciation, or teach you how to appreciate each moment for its uniqueness. Also, establishing boundaries. Establishing boundaries is a big part of happiness too. I really had to accept that there were a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, that I loved who I had to love from a distance in order to maintain my joy. Even when it comes to immediate family and siblings, sometimes we want to be selfless and we always want to be the savior. For some people, it makes us feel good to be the one that can solve everybody's problems. But at a certain point, we have to accept that not everything is our responsibility to fix or come to the rescue for, especially when it comes at the expense of our own happiness, when it requires us to be self-sacrificial. You have to learn that boundaries help to protect your personal energy and your personal space. Boundaries enable you to engage more fully into what brings you joy. You're worried about saving that cousin, your sister, your brother, and when you do, when you step in and you be that savior, they're the ones that's feeling an instant sense of release or relief and joy. But now you're drained. You're fighting for your clarity, your happiness, your joy, all because you lack boundaries. Say it with me. Lack of boundaries will cost me my happiness every single time. Commit to putting yourself and your happiness first for a change. Discover new ways to pour into yourself with acts of self-care, self-appreciation, self-preservation. It's important to recognize that nurturing yourself and setting boundaries and saying no are not selfish, but they are vital components to your overall happiness. Integrating intentional practices of self-care and self-indulgence into your daily life creates a foundation upon which happiness can flourish. Without it, you have nothing. Remember that the more you accumulate these things, these small, deliberate choices and acts of self-appreciation and actions, is how you truly curate a well-lived life, a life filled with joy. Before I close out today's episode, I want to remind you all that any transitional phase that we experience in life is and will always be hard, especially when it's something that feels new. It feels like a new challenge or a new journey that we're embarking on. It's going to feel hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. Shit feels scary. You get doubtful. You feel regret for wanting more, wanting to do better. You feel sad. And you feel and experience so many different emotions. But as you're going through the motions, remember that it is natural. It's natural to feel all those things. So don't give up. Don't regress when you're starting to feel what's natural for you to feel. What I will say is, in those moments when the forward seems rough, your judgment feels clouded, and you feel doubtful, there are people around you who fully understand, even when you think that they don't. So get comfortable with communicating. It is totally okay for you to seek support. You're not meant to navigate the complexities of life, discovering happiness and self-discovery. You're not meant to experience those things or explore those things in isolation. Whether it's you choosing to confide in a friend, reaching out to a counselor or a therapist who can offer professional insights, or even finding solace in a group of like-minded individuals. Isolation also triggers unhappiness and keeps you locked in a space of discontent. Also, a not so shameless plug. Divine Oasis literally exists for this very reason. From providing clients and our community with the necessary tools and resources to transform their lives and environments, to guiding them on their journeys towards self-discovery and growth. Like, Divine Oasis is fully dedicated to empowering you, our community, to embrace your true selves, your true essence, and live authentically and intentionally. So if you feel like there's not someone out there that can support you, there's not a community out there, hey, we're here. There's so much on there. If there's anything that you're confused about, you have questions about, feel free to reach out and ask the right questions. And don't feel shame about doing so, because again, isolation contributes to a lot of unhappiness. And that fear of connection and that fear of community will keep you locked in the spaces that you desperately desire to get out of. Through any life transition, you have to be open to acknowledging the need for external guidance and external support. Acknowledging this is not a sign of weakness, but rather it's a courageous step toward clarity and understanding. It's a reminder that our paths are interwoven with those of others, and it is in shared human experiences that we often find the strength to push forward and feel whole and feel alive and feel happy again. Let the support in your life, however you find it, be the light that illuminates your path back to joy. I hope that today is your first date in your pursuit of rediscovering true happiness again. rediscovering the joys and the sparks that make you uniquely you. That's our episode, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If today's episode in any type of way resonated with you, I truly, truly hope that you share it with a friend, someone who, like you, is on the path to self-discovery, healing, or simply learning to embrace their true self. Until next time, keep seeking joy, keep redefining success, and above all, keep believing in your power to create a well-lived life, a life that is an authentic expression of who you are and rooted in intention and happiness.